The number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business.
I'ma do whatever it takes, getting it done, any means, get rid of these snakes. Now I'm up in my stakes, going all in like get rid of these breaks. Now I ain't never gonna break, double my pace till I go down one of the greats. One of the greats, whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
Can't believe I'm doing this.
Having fun, so that's all.
We like the life. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. This is episode 161. I'm Christian Brindle, joined with Glenn Shelton as always, and we have an awesome show lined up for you guys today on a Tuesday. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
You know, there's some stuff I wanted to kind of start the show with today a little bit. How's audio on your end before we get too deep?
Your audio's good. How's my audio, sir?
It's good. It's good. But I hear myself echoing, I think, on your end or something, like just a slight bit.
I'll see if I can fix that. Why don't you get things kicked off for us?
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of start today's show off by talking about a situation that I found super fascinating. You know, early on in my entrepreneurial journey, career, whatever you want to call it, you know, I was super invested in kind of listening to anybody that I could when it comes to anybody that could provide me some value, help me learn something. I listened to a lot of YouTube videos and podcasts and things like that. Not to say that I don't do that now, but I'm probably a bit more selective than I used to be. And one person that I used to listen to his content to quite a bit, and I always kind of looked at him as a pretty savvy marketer, right? A pretty genius marketer, if you think about it, was Tai Lopez. And the situation that kind of has transpired, and we'll kind of talk about it for those of you that don't know what we're talking about. We will get into the main topic, I assure you, but this was something I did want to kind of start the show off talking about a little bit because I found it super fascinating. So for those of you that don't know, Tai Lopez is a guy that's created a lot of businesses over the years, kind of became notoriously infamous for his online ads, I would say circa 2015 to 2017 type of thing. His ads were everywhere, and he was doing the classic Ferrari, Lamborghini ads, but he had the selfie style ads, if you ever saw him, where he's like, it's a lot of fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills, but you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge. Let me see. I got to find the ad, actually. We should just play it.
I remember my first time ever seeing or hearing about Tai Lopez. It was the books with the cars. It was that whole.
Yeah. That
sounds like
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, what you're talking about bringing up. And I remember thinking and again, it was one of those things from a marketing perspective, you guys, it stood out because it was so different, right? I mean, how many people were showing off luxury cars, but then bragging about their books, right? I mean, you've never seen that before, right?
Right. It was just the whole concept was look at all these cars I have, look at this house I'm living in Hollywood. And I got this because of all these books.
Yes.
And my mentors, he'd always be like, I have 4 mentors. One of them owns a farm. And I lived with the Amish. He was such an interesting character in a lot of ways. I'm actually going to play the ad, the infamous Here in My Garage ad. It was probably viewed through paid ads God knows how many times. This video in particular, 72 million views, and it came out in 2015. This was the first one I ever saw. So I'm going to play it real quick.
Okay.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills. But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge. In fact, I'm more proud of these 7 new bookshelves that I had to get installed to hold 2,000 new books that I bought. It's like the billionaire Warren Buffett says, the more you learn, the more you earn. Now, maybe you've seen my TEDx talk where I talk about how I read a book a day. You know, I read a book a day not to show off. It's, again, about the knowledge. In fact, the real reason I keep this Lamborghini here is that it's a reminder that dreams are still possible, because it wasn't that long ago that I was in a little town across the country sleeping on a couch in a mobile home with only $47 in my bank account. I didn't have a college degree. I had no opportunities.
So anyway, like a lot of people have seen that ad, right, over the years. And there were several others that were just like it. You know, there was one that was like, here in my backyard, if you remember that one. He's like, here in my backyard. It's like a mega mansion, you know. So anyway,
the koi fish pond in the living room.
Yeah.
I mean, I could pretty much draw the house for you at this point, bro. I'm about to go to a party. You remember that one? Yeah.
Was that the one on the private jet?
The one I'm thinking of, he's in the backyard by the pool, and he's like, I'm about to go to a party. There's gonna be a bunch of celebrities there.
Yeah.
Just
there,
like
there was another one where he's on a private jet with a bunch of girls, like 6 girls, and he's like flying private better than flying commercial, and like there's all these girls. They're like, yeah, Ty, yeah. Anyway, so there was a bunch of. So anyway, why am I talking about Ty Lopez, right, on today's show? Well, there was some news that broke in the past couple of days that essentially he and his business partner, Alex, and if you don't know Alex has kind of been his partner in crime all along. He's kind of looked at as like a digital marketing guru, right? And now he's kind of moved into the AI space. He allegedly sold he built an AI company and already sold it for like $250 million, $300 million, something like that. And you see Alex's ads on Facebook all the time. I don't know if it's just me, but for his AI courses and tools and everything like that. So anyway, well, a news I guess like a bombshell news story comes down that the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commissions, is pursuing Ty and Alex for running like $115 million Ponzi scheme, where there was a business back in 2019, 2020. That's when I heard about it, where they were going up and buying bankrupted brands like Radio Shack, Pier 1, multitude of different brands. And the whole idea was they were going to take them online, sell them their products e-commerce style, move away from the retail locations and revive these companies. And so the whole story is wild when you really dig in and read the details of it, because, you know, allegedly, and not allegedly, like this is public information. You can see the ads that Ty was running about this. It's not allegedly, that they were kind of guaranteeing 20% returns if you invested, which is a huge red flag right there. Ty kind of historically, like, while I looked at him as a really great marketer, I think everybody kind of looked at him also in the same light of like, he kind of gave off a little bit of a scammy vibe, you know what I mean? Like kind of a sketchy vibe. And people were always from the jump extremely skeptical of Ty and his ads and everything like that. And so, you know, guaranteeing 20% return with these revived brands, ultra risky type of business idea. Ultra risky. It could work, but ultra risky, right? These are businesses that already failed, already were bankrupt, trying to like revive them in a new business model. So anyway, you know, supposedly they just kind of threw their hands up in the air, said the business was done, allegedly. But they still continue to collect investor money.
Oh, they still kept taking the money.
Yeah, knew more money without disclosing that. And they were taking in this other money to repay their original investors' classic Ponzi scheme type of thing. So this story, I don't want to get too deep into it. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but like, what were your thoughts when you heard about this? I was like stunned. I was like, whoa, it's a big story.
Your audio's lagging a tiny bit. I first heard about this through we kind of hijacked a meeting yesterday, you guys talking about this story because we were so kind of enthralled. I saw this through Russell Brunson's content when he basically goes out on a limb and he shares a video talking about how, Ty must have gotten confused and, I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but I'm sure Ty's scared and
cold and lonely.
Honestly, this really circles back to some of the messaging we talked about on yesterday's episode, where we're talking about how, people are seeing things online. They're grabbing what they're seeing. They're taking it as gospel truth and they're running with it. And Ty Lopez was, a more predominant figure, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So there's more of a reason why, as an individual, as a consumer, as an investor, where if you see Ty Lopez and you know how big his audience is, you might think, okay, like this is legit. But for whatever reason, you guys are looking at, Agent Joe in North Carolina who's not going to sell any policies this year, and they say something and you guys are giving them the same credibility that someone like Ty Lopez would have. So it's kind of a story of caution, I guess, is kind of the way I interpret this. Is, be careful of who you're working with and who you're investing in. A 20% guaranteed return. I don't know how this isn't a Ponzi scheme, despite what Russell Brunson's message was with his video.
Russell Brunson's message, I watched it. I'd love to comment on it. By the way, your mic is, I don't know if it's coming through your mic or your computer audio. It's just very muffled sound on my end. But I wanted to comment on Russell Brunson's video because Russell Brunson, right, founder of ClickFunnels, a lot of people know Russell Brunson.
Is that better?
So much better.
Okay, that's I've been trying to fix. Okay, we fixed it, guys.
Okay, it sounded like you were 300 feet below the surface, in a submarine. Hey, I'm broadcasting for the show today. Hey, record.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, Russell Brunson's video, right, comes out, defends Ty, and like a lot of entrepreneurial, like online guys came out and defended Ty. Like Brad Lee came out and defended Ty. Brad Lee basically said from the video clip I saw that the investors should have done their due diligence. And I'm like,
you got scammed, that's on you, bro.
Yeah. I mean, maybe to an extent. Like, would I have invested with Ty Lopez before all this? No, I probably would not have. But like, that's tough statement to make, in my opinion. But Russell Brunson didn't say that exactly, but he kind of took the same thing. He's like, kind of positioned it like Ty was a victim, like, oh, poor Ty, poor Ty. Patrick Bet-David said, he's like, oh, I hope he gets through this. I hope he can grow his business. Like, he's going to be in prison potentially, bro. Like, he's not going to grow his business.
PVD.
Like,
shout out to PVD.
Brother, man. Like, what do you like? And I get it. All these guys have a relationship with him personally. Like, you're put in an awkward position where you're asked to comment about something with someone that right? Like, it could happen to somebody that we know in the industry that we like a lot, have a lot of affection for. We might not want to just like throw them under the bus and watch their head get run over by the tire. I get that, but like, Russell Brunson's message was like, I can only imagine the sleepless nights he had and the stress. Oh, poor little guy. And I'm like, what about the investors? What about the people that lost over $100 million, like, in investor funds? I've just that to me, it rubbed me the wrong way. It's just like,
So another part of this story too that I find fascinating is that like the model that he was trying to roll out to me speaks to the power of branding. Because when you look at the idea behind it, taking something like Radio Shack as an example, right? I mean, Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore physically, but if I put that R logo on the screen right now and I was like, hey, tell me what this is, so many of you would still be able to say, hey, that's Radio Shack. I know what
Definitely.
that company is. I know what they do. And so understanding the value of a brand, it doesn't sound like the business actually translated into what Ty had positioned it to be, but it still speaks to the value of a brand. Even if the business behind the brand fails, the brand still has value. I mean, Trump, love him or hate him, he has talked so much about how the value of his name as a brand. And again, whether you like him or hate him, there is definitely a dollar amount value that you could attach to just the Trump name itself, right?
Totally.
So I think that's something that, again, we could all take back to our own businesses, our own agencies, is like, what are you doing to create a brand that's recognizable like that? To really, have people see it and know what it is and know what you do.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just kind of an interesting story. We'll kind of see how it develops. From my understanding, this is a long time coming. This has been an investigation that's been going on for years, literally years. Like they walked away from this business, my understanding, in like 2022, 2023, kind of reading up on the case a little bit. So like, a long time coming, and it doesn't look good though.
Hey, that gives Ty a lot of time to read up on what's to come.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, lots of good reading time in prison, I've heard, allegedly.
Yes.
So
allegedly,
Mr. Brindle, this might be. Do you have any final thoughts you want to say about that? I mean, it might be a good spot to transition into today's sponsor.
Yes, I definitely think that it is. You guys, today's episode is brought to you by Lead Heroes. Guys, this coming AEP, there's going to be a lot of opportunity, but not all of you have enough lead sources and lead flow
Very
coming
true.
in to really meet your goals. I talk to agents every single year that say, I want to write 100 apps this AEP. I want to write 200 apps this AEP. I want to write 300 apps this AEP. And my question usually that follows is, how many leads do you need for that? Oh, well, I don't know. I was just going to get some referrals and hustle. And it's like, you need the leads. You need enough lead flow. You need to do the math. You need to have enough leads to talk to, and you need predictable leads. You need leads that, you can guarantee that will be coming to you at a certain point in time. You need predictability, and Lead Heroes provides that. We are doing something really special that will be to come. We can't talk about it too much on today's show, but for Medicare Supplement Awareness Month, we will be saving the subs, and we're super excited for you guys to join us on this journey.
Could the audience, anybody who watches this, whether you're replay or you're watching live right now or you're audio only, like if you guys could just do me a favor and comment save the subs. I just want to make sure we're all on the same team on this one, that you guys want to see Medicare Supplement stick around. So I would just love, it warms my heart to see someone else say those words. Save the subs, you guys. I mean, I'm ready to pledge, if I'm being honest. I'm very close to feeling trustworthy on this.
So make sure to head over to leadheroes.com. If you're watching on the Facebook live stream, Mr. Lester, the champion, very powerful and attractive man in his own right, has dropped the link on this stream.
Save the subs.
Thank
you, Nicole.
Make sure to head over to leadheroes.com and get your orders in while you can. There's still some availability left for us to be able to take on orders for AEP.
Yeah, really fast. I did want to mention that as well, as there are still some preset appointments available. So if you're specifically looking for our Medicare Advantage preset appointments for this AEP, there's still time. I know it's essentially Christmas Eve right now for Medicare agents all across the US. I don't know if anyone else woke up and could feel that in their chest this morning when they saw the calendar, but it's Christmas Eve, but you don't have to get coal in your stocking this year. There's still time to get your preset appointments from Lead Heroes. So highly recommend checking those out. All right. That being said,
as we wrap up that message from Medicare Santa,
just got to dye the beard here.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Were you a good agent this year? You could wake up tomorrow morning with a calendar full of appointments.
Oh my gosh.
You better watch out.
I'm thinking of a great promo now.
I've got it. That's going to be my ChatGPT image of the day right there.
Yeah.
Is me as Medicare Santa.
Yes,
presets for agents everywhere. Ho, ho,
ho. Cindy Lou who is no more than 2. That's the Grinch. Sorry, wrong thing there. They all kind of blur together at this point as an adult. Okay, so let's transition into the main topic at hand. So, main topic at hand: why is Medicare better than life? Right. So, I wanted to kind of give. Well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to get to the bottom of this.
How dare you slant this in a way that makes it sound like Medicare? I don't know if it is, guys. Well, I don't know if it is. I'm the representative. I'm the attorney of law for life insurance today. Okay, I'm going to represent my client.
And I'm going to try to find the post real quickly that this originated from. There was a really interesting post. Sometimes if you guys post interesting things in the Facebook group, it does kind of give us inspiration on things to talk about for the show, as we do 4 shows a week on a regular week.
Tell me who it is. I'll tag them. I love tagging people in the stream and be like, dude, I'm answering your question right now. Like, it's happening.
I'm looking for the post is the thing. There's so many posts in the freaking Facebook group. Like it's almost out of control.
I'm gonna find it before you.
You probably will.
The sentiment behind the post, it was from a new agent. And
I'd love to read it verbatim because I thought it was.
I would too.
Man.
Oh, that was another thing I was going to bring up today. I'm seeing another post talking about the possible government shutdown.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which I don't understand why we're doing that, you guys. Why would we shut it down? Let's just keep rolling.
Hang on. Okay, so I'm just going to search life.
That's what I
use the search feature.
Honest question. I found it. Boom. Guys, I want to take note here. I found a post in the Facebook group before Christian could. I am the smarter partner between the two. Mike Benedict.
Shout out.
Honest question. Why should someone take the additional classes and tests to sell Medicare? Great question, Mike. I don't know, honestly. Let's be honest, Mike. You're answering your own question here. If they can just sell life insurance, what's the major pros and then cons? I know residual is better, but upfront lower. Then there's the risk of legislation wiping out residuals. Preference in workflows or industry. I'm curious because I'm trying to figure out what I want to really dial in and focus on, and I want to learn from others with personal experience with both. This is such a great question, and I love the wording too. Like, it wasn't just like...
That's why I wanted to find it. I thought it was very well asked.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Shout out to Mike Benedict, you guys. He's a real one.
Okay, so how do you eat an elephant? This is a really...
this is a big one.
This is a big topic, right? So let's start off with, let's take it point by point with what he said there. So start from the beginning for me. What was the first point that he made? I know residual is better, but upfront is less. That's what I remember. Is that right?
No, the first one's really about the additional classes and tests, which he doesn't say certs, but that's what I'm assuming is
Sure.
like he's referencing, AHIP, carrier certs. Like why, like there are so many more hoops you have to jump just to sell Medicare Advantage,
Sure.
right? Or Part D. So
absolutely.
That's the first thing we need to discuss here.
So I don't know if there's too much to really get into with that in particular. Like, it is what it is, right? You have AHIP to take, you have certs to take for each carrier on the Medicare Advantage side that you want to sell for. And
if we're scoring points though, life insurance wins on this one.
Okay,
because
let's do a
you
tally.
can ramp. Yes, you can ramp up to sell. I went from getting my license to selling life insurance in like less than 10 days.
You have
probably like a week.
You have LIMRA with life insurance, but not even close to the same difficulty. So, all right, we'll do it. We'll do this. We'll do a tally for life. Okay. We'll give that. I'll give that one to the
never
life
tally like that. Life insurance.
I do that all the time to my wife. I'm like, that's another one for me. When I'm right about something, I'll go, and she gets so triggered. She gets so upset.
I'm dying. Okay,
living with me is not easy, my friend. Living with me is a chore.
I know. Okay, so that is a point for life insurance, right?
I'll concede it. I won't even argue it because it's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm winning. I love this.
But all the rest of them I will win. It'll be a clean sweep from here. It'll be a gentleman's sweep.
Whoa, easy there. Okay, so major pros and cons. Now, residual. Here's another one. Now, here's my argument for life insurance on this one. Before you go, there is an argument to be made here. There is an argument to be made here.
Okay. Listen.
If you are brand new to the industry and you don't have savings, you don't have income, and you are trying to support your family, you're trying to live on your commissions, it is very, very difficult, if not impossible at times, to generate enough revenue upfront with Medicare versus if you did the same activity with life insurance, those upfront commissions would probably be enough where you'd be fine. You could transition just like I did. Like I did.
Here's my question, my follow-up question. Let's take final expense as an example, right?
Yes.
What do you think the average premium is going to be on final expense?
It's about 600 AP.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, right? So 600, let's say you're at 120%, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, that's roughly, street.
So you're probably, I'm trying to do the napkin math in my head. What is that? 720, 800 premium commission?
Then you'll get 9 months advance. So, I mean, for the sake of argument, let's say you get $600 fronted to you per app.
Guess how much a true up is right now?
I'm not legally able to answer that question on screen right now, Your Honor.
Hang on. I will pull up the 2026 numbers.
He's about to pull up California or New Jersey numbers.
No. I'll give you the national numbers. I'll give you the national numbers, okay?
But this is someone brand new to Medicare. So this is a bit of a different ball game compared to being able to market to anyone 50 to 80, right?
Sure, but okay, we're right now we're just talking about commission, right? So $694 is the 2026 true up nationally, not even taking into consideration if you're in California or New Jersey, it stretches up to $864. But nationally, it's greater. So I would argue, and let's say
that's tough.
I would argue that you could even, there's going to be a moving target essentially, right? For final expense, going to depend on the premium. Some deals are going to be greater, some deals are going to be less. I would argue though that it'll average out to exactly what you said. So I would say it's probably a tie.
Well, retention
first year commission.
And I hate to make bad of my client here, but retention's going to be lower for an FE agent.
Absolutely. What do you think average retention is going to be?
It's going to probably be at least 10% worse, if not more, than if you sold 10 Medicare clients T65 and then you sold 10 final expense policies and you're a really solid agent, you really know what you're doing, you're still probably going to lose close to 20% of your versus Medicare. You might only lose 1 out of 10. And if you're smart, you won't lose any, really.
I would feel comfortable giving that to Medicare, in my opinion, because retention is better.
You lick your finger, okay? I know.
So now we're tied. What a piece. Okay. So it used to be the argument with final expense that you could make more the first year. I don't even think that's accurate anymore.
So when I got in the industry, I feel like the true up was like $300. 10 years ago?
No, it was never that low.
Years ago?
It was never that low, but
$400. What was it? What was a true up a decade ago?
Yeah, it was like in the 400s.
So that was the thing is, I was selling. I got recruited in to sell mortgage protection, which mortgage protection premiums are about double,
and the commission's less.
Well, the commission's not 120. That's for sure. Your commission's going to be a lot less. Premiums are higher. The retention, though, on a mortgage protection deal is going to be higher versus final expense.
Tougher to get approved, though. More underwriting, right?
To get approved. So the argument when I came into the industry, I remember when I got recruited because they did Medicare. This agency did Medicare, but they just like refused to talk about it. But I remember them telling me like, "Oh, you're only going to make like $300 a deal, but if you go and spend the same time selling mortgage protection, you're going to make like $600, $700, $800, $900." So I do think the industry's changed a bit. It's really hard to position a final expense policy at 600 AP versus that T60 because that T65 client is just gold. They're going to live for 20 years at least.
And that's a totally different category, right? We haven't even gotten into the renewals aspect of it. That's just first year commission. But like with Medicare, there's so many opportunities to cross sell as well, right? Like there's no reason why you can cross sell a hospital indemnity plan, other things with it that fill in the gaps of that Medicare Advantage plan to help cover the client better. And it doesn't take much for you to be like at 1,000, 1,200 first year commission.
Okay, so moving on to our next, we're tied right now. It's 1-1. Then there's the risk. Okay, hang on a second. You said you had a gentleman's sweep brewing, and I think there's another point for life insurance coming up here, you guys.
Okay. Let's see.
So, listen, life insurance might lose this, but Christian was wrong. I want the record to state it. I will not get a gentleman's sweep on this. Then there's the risk of legislation wiping out residuals. When was the last time you saw major legislation come through on life insurance? Have you seen anything recently that?
I mean, broad things, right? Like the FCC 1-to-1 consent that would have affected life insurance, right?
Okay.
In terms of, but of course, it never saw the light of day. Sure. I mean, but I could also flip the script and argue, like, on a broad perspective. Like, I can tell you this, the only renewals that we have lost in the last 10 years where a carrier just pulled them was WellCare PDP commissions.
Yeah. So,
like, is that really a big thing where we have evidence to point back on that legislation has pulled renewals?
I think
in a big way.
What people point to, and my guess based on this post and I'm looking at the comments right now, is like most likely they're pointing to when ACA got passed, it obliterated everyone's under 65 renewals, right? I mean,
yeah, but we're not talking about ACA.
I know we're not, but I'm saying that's probably what's being referenced in the sense of legislation, aka ACA, obliterating health insurance renewals.
Sure.
So it's not a direct comparison. I understand that, but that's got to be what's being referenced here.
The analogy is like my cousin who's almost my same age, who's an alcoholic and unemployed, that's going to be me because he's my cousin.
You're so full of shit on this one. Guys, I'm going to go ahead. Hang on a second.
No, I don't think that's fair. Oh, fine.
It's obviously it's apples and oranges. Under 65 to Medicare, it's not the same, but legislation in general changing the direction of life insurance sales versus Medicare sales, it's obvious that this one is much more dangerous to Medicare.
I will concede it because
that's 2 points.
The potential of it happening with Medicare is far greater than it would be for life. Not that I think it's likely on either, but Christmas if it had to pick one or the other.
Santa doesn't lose on Christmas Eve, dude. You should have known better.
All right, let's keep going. The competitor in me is coming out live on the show.
I want to terminate here. I'm up 2-1. It feels
you don't feel good about the.
Feels so good right now.
You don't feel good about the rest of the way, do you?
My connection, it's horrible. Can you hear me?
I'm still in the submarine. We're going deeper. We're going deeper in the submarine. 400 feet below the surface.
Okay.
I'm in Titan and it's collapsing in the.
Oh, geez. Okay, this next one, I don't know how we can score this one because the question is preference in workflows or industry. I mean, basically the question's like, hey, what do you guys like more? So I don't know. I mean, I guess we could try to compare workflows. I don't know how you want to go about this one.
Yeah, I feel like that one is so subjective. I don't think we can probably accurately push it to either way. I mean, I'm biased. I would say if the question is which one do you like more, I like Medicare more because retention's higher. You have higher lifetime value by far, and it's more scalable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, I don't know. But again, that's subjective. It's a question of like, what do you like more? Do you like vanilla or strawberry more?
Yeah.
Well, I could say like, vanilla, it matches me.
Vanilla ice over here.
Vanilla ice, right?
This one's tough because, I mean, I've seen people who are incredible producers in one and they can't seem to translate into the other, even though they've tried. And so they've just, their personality and the way they operate works really well in one industry versus the other. So this is really more about personal preference and being self-aware and just being self-aware, like what makes sense for you as an agent? What do you work well with? I've seen it where a life agent fails and they really can't get like they just don't have much success at all selling life, but then all of a sudden they get in Medicare and they do really well. I don't know if I've seen as much go the other direction because I think Medicare is a little bit of an easier sale because it's something that everyone has versus life. You really have to sell them on it because it's not something that's required, right? You don't have to have it. But yeah, that's really personal preference. Okay, so I mean, according to the post, the next part is I'm curious because I'm trying to figure out what I want to dial in and focus on, and I want to learn from others. So technically,
I feel like renewals
we're at 2.
I feel like renewals was mentioned and we just glossed over it.
Renewals. Renewals is mentioned.
I see what you tried to do there.
There's something about renewal. I don't know what that means, but
that's clearly don't even need to talk about it. A point for Medicare.
Something about renewals. I don't know.
I mean, that is. Here's the way I would like kind of make my argument for it. I kind of talked about it already, but like again, Medicare is something that people need, not something that is a luxury. And a lot of people look at life insurance as a luxury, right? Something that doesn't affect them on a day-to-day basis if they don't have it. It affects them potentially someday. If something unforeseen happens to them, it affects their family, but it's not something that they can feel on a day-to-day basis like they can't fill a prescription, right? Or something like that. Like Medicare is incredibly necessary. You get penalized for not having it at the right times. So from that standpoint, Medicare is more of a needs-based sale That's why there's so many bad salespeople that can make it in Medicare. You can't be a bad salesperson and make it in life. So I would say it's the easier product to sell.
The thing, I mean, and the other piece of this that comes through with this post, when you're a brand new agent, even though I think if we really sat here and like went point for point, right? We really go through life and Medicare, final expense versus Medicare. I think Medicare is going to probably win that point by point battle 9 out of 10 times. There's going to be certain instances where it's nice to be in life. There might be times where you do get paid a little bit more upfront. There might be times where, as a new agent, it's so much easier to start. I mean, that's one of the things that I think is really attractive to life insurance over Medicare is you can come in, get contracted, get licensed, right? And all you really need to understand is how to quote. Like, hey, Mrs. Jones, your funeral is like 20 grand, roughly. This is what 20 grand in coverage would be. That's like it, right? Like there's no doctors or networks or part A, B, C, D or a supplement versus an advantage plan versus, how does this look differently across state lines? Like there's a simplicity to it that I think is really attractive to new agents. But once you're established and you understand what you're doing, especially if you're looking at like the true up market, the turning 65 market, hard to beat Medicare.
I have said for a long time now that life insurance, final expense in particular, is an easier product to learn, a harder product to sell, and Medicare is a harder product to learn, but an easier product to sell.
Yeah.
And so certainly I think you can make the argument they both have their pros and cons. I'm particular to Medicare, so I would say Medicare. I think it's more scalable. I think it's got better retention. It's got long-term income potentials. It's something that people need. So all the way around. So that's, to me, to answer the original question of like, why is it worth the extra tests, the extra certifications? I mean, what have we said about life agents for years on our screen?
Oh no!
You don't need to be a hamster.
No!
Wait, here's the water bottle. When you're a life agent, you're a hamster, right? You're running on the wheel.
It is a proverbial hamster wheel. So, I mean, to answer the renewal question on the life side, since we didn't really mention that yet, you can get renewals on some of these final expense plans specifically. And there's other types of life insurance. If you're selling cash value life insurance like IULs or, whole life, like simplified, the thing with simplified issue whole life, which is what final expense is, there's typically anywhere from 0 to almost none on the renewal side. So it does lead you to becoming the proverbial hamster, right? I mean, you're stuck on this hamster wheel of, if you're not consistently selling, you don't have an income. The ability in the Medicare space, we've talked about this quite a bit too. The ability in the Medicare space to buy a book of business and have that cash flowing asset get turned on. If you buy a book of business in the life space, you're really just buying leads, in my opinion, right? Like it's people that you can work with because you're the agency or that you're the agent on record now for those policies. But it's not like you're taking over a cash flowing asset in the same way. It's probably, if I had to guess percentage wise, you're probably looking at 10 times less on the renewals. It's literally like, it's probably somewhere between 5 to 10 times less, depending on what type of life insurance you're selling. And there's a lot of policies that don't have any. That's literally a 0% renewal, which can be really shitty. If you're trying to get renewals, you probably don't want to sell a lot of life insurance.
Yeah. I think that probably puts us in a good spot to move into final thoughts. I think we covered it pretty well.
I feel good about it. I tagged you, Mike. Mike, we appreciate you. Good questions. Guys, keep the good questions coming. We
You
love
just
it.
might get them covered on
Yeah.
the show.
You
If it's a
might
good
become
enough
famous.
question.
You
You
might
just
become
might.
famous on the Seven Figures or Bust podcast. You never know.
I mean, the reality is, right? Like every single pod we do will get viewed oftentimes by thousands of agents across all the platforms. So it's a real thing. So my final thoughts, guys, is, it's a fun exercise to be like, okay, which one's going to win? It's fun. It's fun to kind of, go point for point about it. But ideally, long term, I've always said as a new agent, my advice is to start with one or the other, not try to do both at the same time. I think that's just a lot for a brand new agent to take in, like drinking from the fire hose. But I do think it's good to start with one or the other, but with a long-term expectation. Long-term, depending on your learning curve, could be 6 months, could be 12 months, could be 2 years. But with a long-term expectation that you start doing both, you incorporate both because they go together really well, kind of like peanut butter and jelly. The PB and J, peanut butter and jealous. You're not going to be jealous of anyone because you're selling both, right? And so I like, my advice to an agent would be pick one, start with that one and kind of go from there, with the expectation that you're going to add the other one. So that's my final thoughts on episode 161.
Yeah, another part of Mike's question that I really loved is that he intentionally was planning on picking one and to focus on one to start with. There are a lot of agents. It's not a majority. It's definitely a smaller percentage of agents who figured out how to do both, like Christian's saying. But if you're trying to do both and become an expert in both right out the gate, it's probably going to slow you down. I definitely recommend picking a lane to start. And then if you want to learn the other product, add it in after a certain amount of time, 9 months, 2 years, whatever it is, based on your comfort level. So my final thoughts on episode 161, you guys. Everything Senior Insurance is actually opening up to investors, and we're guaranteeing everyone a 30% return on your money. So go ahead. I'm going to drop my Venmo in the comments. Venmo, it's a minimum of $20,000 per share. Oh, man. Shout out to Ty Lopez. We appreciate you, bro. No, my final thoughts, you guys. I know it's Christmas Eve today, and we have AEP starting tomorrow. Although you can't technically write those apps until the 15th, you can start
Correct.
talking to all of your clients tomorrow about the changes that are coming. So I know that essentially, if you have a book of business, it really does start tomorrow. If you have clients to reach out to. So that being said, I hope everyone has a fantastic AEP. I hope that you have everything that you need to have a great AEP. And if you don't, we mentioned Lead Heroes earlier on the stream. Head over to leadheroes.com or give us a call today. We'd love to help you out. If you don't feel like you have enough prospects in your pipeline, if you'd love to learn more about preset appointments that are compliant and exclusive to you, that you can work this AEP, there's still time. And yes, I concede the battle today to Christian and to Medicare. I do think if you're looking at trying to build a long-term business, Medicare is going to most likely be the best thing to get into versus life insurance, with an asterisk of, there is some subjectiveness to your personal preference. I know some people who have built massive businesses in the life space, and I know some really successful life agents who it didn't really work out for them to get into Medicare or the health space. So there's a little asterisk there where you need to kind of figure this out for yourself. But if I had to pick today, gun to my head, I'm definitely picking Medicare every single time.
Yep. All right, guys. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Episode 161. Do us a favor. No matter what platform you're watching on, give us a like, comment, subscribe, 5-star review, anything else in between that the platform of your choice will allow you to do. And definitely please make sure to tune in for future episodes. We'll be back tomorrow is the plan. And here's to your massive success. Happy October. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.
Save those